Hi, this is Anil and welcome to the video tutorial for the Learning Lad on C++ programming. So in the last tutorial we have learned about the hash defined preprocessor directive. By using this hash defined preprocessor directive, we were defining a macro and a macro substitution which will be used whenever we refer that macro in our program. And in the last tutorial, I have explained about two types of macros, the function like macros and the object like macros. And whatever we have learned in the previous tutorial was about the object like macros. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn about the function like macros. So when we define a macro name, for example ABS, this macro can take the parameters. So if your macro takes a parameter just like the functions, and then that is called as function like macros. So here if your macro is taking any parameter, you need to specify that between the parentheses, and for example let's say number. So here just for the demonstration purpose in this tutorial, we're gonna check for this number whether it is positive or negative. If that number is negative, then we're gonna make it positive and return, and if we get a positive number, we're gonna return it as it is. So here I'm gonna use the ternary operator just for the simplicity, and I'm going to use the parenthesis, and it's going to be number is it is less than 0, and then I'm going to use a question mark. If it is so, we want to make it positive by using the negative symbol, and again I'm going to use the parenthesis. I'm going to write number, else colon, we're going to return number as it is. So here we have used this parenthesis just to make sure that when this macro replacement or this substitution takes place in our program, that substitution takes place properly. And also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna group this one using the parenthesis. So it's gonna be a parenthesis here and another one here. So now I'm gonna use this ABS macro in my program. So it's gonna be cout, and I'm going to use ABS, and it's going to take a parameter, so it's going to be 2, and I'm going to build and run this. It returns 2, and if I change this one to -2, it should return 2. Okay, it returns 2. So what happened here is when we use this ABS macro, the macro definition or the macro replacement was substituted here, and that's why here it became -2 less than 0. If it is so, it returned minus of -2, which is 2, else it returned the number 2. So here we are using this parenthesis to make sure that the substitution takes place properly. So if your macro is going to take two parameters, it can take that separated by comma, and let's say num, and here we're going to check whether this number is less than num. If it is so, we're going to return num, else we're going to return number. So here we're just going to pass two parameters, let's say 2, 4. So I'm going to build and run this, and it returns 4. Okay, what happened here is whether this 2 number and 4 num. 2 is less than 4, yes, true, and that's why it returned num. 4 is returned, and it returned properly. And if I change this one to 4, 2, and just build and run this, it's gonna return 4. That's because this number 4 is not less than 2, false, and that's why the number which is 4 is returned. So we can say that now this macro returns the larger number when we pass two numbers. Alright, this is about the function like macros in C++. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.